Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. Welcome back to Blacklist Universe. Yes, I am on again. I do apologize if this is just too much streaming for you today, but hey, gotta milk this Captain Marvel thing for all it's worth, right? So today, the embargo on the reviews has been lifted, and they are coming out strong and swinging on Captain Marvel. I am going to do a comparative review here of not just all the reviews on Metacritic.com for Captain Marvel, but also so that we can get a look at the Alita reviews on the same site. And you guys all do realize that that Alita was given short shrift by the critics because, well, the thesis, the theme of Alita is one of personal responsibility, and for some strange reason, the left-wing critics out there, who primarily the critics are left-wing, and I don't really understand that why that is, other than the fact that they are in the media, and somehow or another the media has managed to cull most of the conservative voices out of public discourse, which is why so many people nowadays turn to things like, YouTube, and personalities like myself, like Ethan Van Sciver, like Geeks and Gamers, PewDiePie, even for their news and entertainment, because frankly, a lot of people are just sick of being spoon-fed left-wing propaganda on the daily. But since most of the critics are people of that ilk, then let's go ahead and check out what they said, and then we will, after that, take a look into how they treated Alita, which, by all fan criticism, is a solid, fantastic movie. Not everybody loves it. But hey, everybody can't love everything, can they? If you're here, please do hit that share button. I will be addressing the chat in this review. So, review of reviews. I am doing my own review later because I am going to see Captain Marvel tonight in a free screening here in San Diego. So, I will be able to give you my own personal input. But for now, let's see what the reviewers who got their early screenings in had to say. We're going to start with first of all, it's at 66%, which is green. But that's not really a great score, is it? It's not a great score. Which honestly, this is surprising me. These are the people that gave, well, okay, granted, that was Rotten Tomatoes, and they kind of handpicked their critics, but this Metacritic is more a gathering of all critics, rather than Rotten Tomatoes. I think sort of culls their approved critic list, because they gave Black Panther a 100%, which what movie on earth? My favorite movies don't deserve a 100%. So the shilling was strong with Black Panther, but somehow or another they couldn't round up the same leftist. Maybe it's because she's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white savior, and maybe that's just not woke enough for some of the critics. Let's check out what some of these critics. So the highest praise comes from the Los Angeles Times. Kenneth Kern says, watching Danvers' story play out, complete with boggling plot twists and a scene stealing. I almost did it again. I did that in my last one. Scene stealing friendly feline is hugely entertaining. What they say speaks more because of what they're not saying. Cats don't steal scenes. Cats are cats. Unless it's a lion or, I don't know, something. They're cats. Okay? This is a little orange cat with boggling plot twists. What a weird way. So it seems like this guy, he's giving it a 90. right? A 90. That is an A. That is an A rating for this movie. It is the highest rating anyone gave. Um, and he's obviously trying to use words that are complimentary, but the truth is kind of seeping through his words. They're boggling plot twists. Boggling. Such a strange way to phrase it. I think boggling is usually you say like it's mind-bogglingly, but just boggling. Boggling means confusing. Um so it's got confusing plot twists and a cat that is more charismatic than the main character. All right, IGN 83%, which is a B, maybe a B minus. Captain Marvel and this is a woman. Not that that means anything. Captain Marvel manages to take the best ideas of the early MCU origin stories like Iron Man and Thor and use them to form something that feels both familiar and fresh. It can be a bit on the nose at times. That means lazy writing, people. Lazy writing. Um, obvious plot. Um, trying to spell things out. In other words, it's written for a lower common denominator than your average Marvel movie because it is trying to explain things to simple people, which, anyways, uh, and occasionally has to fast track its exposition in ways that make it feel slightly clunky. But what it lacks in grace, it makes up for in charm. Do you see how they're even trying? They're trying to put lipstick on a pig at this point. And honestly, I haven't judged the film yet because I haven't seen it yet. I've only seen the trailers. The trailers make it look incredibly bad. But it wouldn't be the first time I was surprised by a film if it turns out to be a good film, even though the trailers are bad. That has happened to a couple of different movies in the past. I'm trying to remember specifically, but I guess it's not important. But you see, she's giving it an 83, but even in her tiny little synopsis, it's obvious she did not like this film. But she's trying to pump it up using language that isn't too derogatory, and then trying to pull it up at the end by saying, "Oh, what it lacks in grace, it makes up for in charm." Yeah, we can read through that, Meg Downey. I think we're not that stupid. Here is the third highest, is a C plus grade, 78, Austin Chronicle, Richard Whittaker. As the energy beam projecting, space flying defender of the underdog, Brie Larson has captured the pugnacious, charming, steely Captain Marvel in the ways she deserves. That's actually probably a better review than either of these two. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that's the better review, and he only gives it a 78%. So I think this guy's probably being honest in his review. Probably because he's only giving it a 78%. Uproxx, the fourth highest rank here, gives it a C minus. A C minus. This is not a magna cum laude moment for our friend Brie Larson. Uproxx Mike Ryan says, yes, Captain Marvel is an origin story, but it's handled in such a unique way that it doesn't feel like an origin story. I really don't know what to make of that, but at least he gave it an honest C minus. What's up, Uriah? Kevin Chan says Ant-Man and Wasp is better than Black Panther 2. It seems like you guys are having your own conversation in the chat. The Associated Press, the grand old AP, Lindsay Barr. I spent over 2 hours with Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, and I still have no idea what her personality is. Sure, there's a lot more going on in Captain Marvel, but it's a pretty egregious failing considering that the creative bigwigs at Marvel had 10 years and 20 films to work it out. Oh. If Brie Larson had nuts, I would say that was a nut shot. And that's the fourth Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the 5th highest review. How does this thing have a 66? The 5th highest review is a 63. And that is an absolute gut shot right there. Boy. Screen Crush, Matt Singer, 60. Wait a second. A 70 is a C minus. A 63 is a D. A 60 is a D minus. Everything below this is an F. An F. Screen Crush, Matt Singer. Captain Marvel itself has none of that rebellious spirit. It takes very few risks in the way that something like Thor Ragnarok did, beyond the fact that it is the studio's first blockbuster with a female hero in the lead. Personally, I like my movies about rule breakers to actually break some rules. Yeah, Marvel Studios, particularly first female lead. The first Marvel female lead movie, however, was Elektra. But again, not the studio. And our F rating, New York Post, Johnny Oleksinski. What's to be said? What's said to be Marvel's most powerful superhero ever is served melatonin by Larson. There is precious little texture or detail, ups and downs, or emotions of any kind in her performance. The character, even when kicking butt, is a total bore. Such as it is, the film's best moments are provided by Jackson and a hilarious cat. A cat. I'm a... See all 35 reviews. You guys want me to read all 35 reviews? Tug. Hey, Tug, do you want to come in here and have fun with this? Let me know. It might be fun to have a partner in this this reading. Oh, guys, do you want me to see all 35 reviews? Do you want me to hit this button? Do you? Hit 1 if you want me to do all 35 reviews. Otherwise, I'll move on to Alita and compare how they treated Alita, which is a remarkable film by any measure. Hey there, Tug's at work. Can't jump on. All right there. I'll probably watch it for the cat, says the queen. Oh no. 1. All right, so let's do this. All right, we already got Los Angeles Times. We got Variety with a 90. Bowden and Fleck are low-key American neorealists. And in Captain Marvel, they barely retain a vestige of their signature style. That is not a good way to start a 90 review. Yet they have brought off something exciting, embracing the Marvel house style. Within that, crafting a tale with enough tricks and moods and sleight of hand layers to keep us honestly absorbed. That's a 90. That is a 90. All right, the wrap. April Wolf, Captain Marvel, the first Marvel adaptation to both to star a woman and to be co-directed by a woman, is an obvious, crude, transparent film. And it's also quite enjoyable and evocative most of the time. Wow, what a bipolar review just in 2 sentences. It's obvious, crude, and transparent. But it's also enjoyable and evocative most of the time. No, April Wolf, you can't have it both ways. Just because it stars a woman and is co-directed by a woman, you can't give it an 89 for being obvious, crude, and transparent. No, that is not an honest review. You are not a good person. Richard Roper at the Chicago Sun-Times says, this isn't the greatest Marvel movie ever made, but it's definitely one of the funniest and one of the sweetest. because that's what you want when you go for a Marvel movie is, oh, wasn't that sweet? No, guys, Richard Roper, come on. At least he only gave it a B plus. IGN. We did that one. Total Film. Matt Mayhem at Total Film gives it a B minus. A satisfying standalone launch for Marvel's latest superhero combines sci-fi action with 90s nostalgia. Overcoming minor stumbles, it ultimately soars. So even the positive reviews always have to mention a little bit of cringe. The Telegraph says another B minus. Marvel films are all about anticipation. They're designed to make you crave the next helping before you're even swallowed the current one. But this is the first in a while I've found myself immediately hungry to revisit. That's actually a generally positive review. All right, Telegraph, Robbie Collin. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but another B minus from Helen O'Hara. As a Nick Fury buddy comedy, it's fun. As a feminist fable, it's essential. This takes a while to really get going, but when Carol Danvers takes off, she is unstoppable. A Nick Fury buddy comedy. Because honestly, when you think Nick Fury, that's what you're clamoring for, right? Is a buddy comedy from Nick Fury. And obviously it's a feminist fable. I think we already did that one. Consequences of Sound, Allison Shoemaker for a C, 75. There are touches of the freshness that percolated through Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok, two films that brought new points of view, loads of promise, and no small amount of political and social resonance to the MCU, but only a little of the sense of newness and boldness that Ryan Coogler and Taika Waititi's films had in abundance. So, a mixed review here. It's weird that it's green and positive when that's clearly a mixed review. Chicago. I think, did we already read that one? It's fun in various ways, some better than others. You can tell a film was made by people who weren't mapping out their entire careers to lead to the big moment when they tackle a Marvel Cinematic Universe franchise. That is not a positive review. Captain Marvel only figures itself out toward the end, when a couple twists, I won't spoil, sharpen the spanning saga into a motley crew errand of mercy. I think the mercy is probably when it ends. That's Entertainment Weekly's Darren Franich. Vanity Fair, I think we already hit. USA Today, Brian Truitt says, it took 3 Thor films for Chris Hemsworth Thunder God to find his groove. Although Larson's heroine is still a work in progress, Captain Marvel lays a solid foundation to follow her wherever she flies next. So, excusing a bad film by comparing it to what he considers other bad films. I actually liked the first Thor movie. The second one was, the third one was fantastic. But the third one was really in a different vein. It wasn't the groove so much. But anyways, Seattle Times can't spend much time on it. Says, in other words, yes, it's fun. That's all they clipped out. I kind of have to see this whole review. Sorry. Serena Sketches has a video up on her channel about the review the New York Post put out. They did not like it. Seattle Times. Come on. Open up. Open, please. Open up. No? Yes? No? Why is my... Please don't lock up now. That would not be nice. People like the character Thor right away. The movies themselves were just okay. This is true. Oh, there we go. All right, we're back. Seattle Times doesn't seem to want to open, though. So I will... Oh, it wants me to sign up for crap. No thanks. All right, sorry, Seattle Times. We're not going to read your review. New York Times. Uh, Another C minus grade, or the first C minus grade in the totality. It's pretty good fun and could almost be described without sarcasm as a scrappy little picture. Minus the S. Like most of Bowden and Fleck's other work. Could almost be described without sarcasm as a scrappy little picture. Uh, okay, Paste Magazine. Another C minus. Gives it, we've seen a lot of this before, though the 90s setting is a nice twist and provides a soundtrack that will prove consistently pleasing to any aging Gen Xer. But it's Larson who gives this weight and emotional depth. That's pretty contradictory to some of our other reviews we've read. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Like I said, I am going to see this tonight, so come back for a later evening honest review. I'm going to start tonight's review with things I like about the film, because I have to like something. I guarantee I will like something. So I will start with the things I like, and then I will move into the things I hate. Sort of a Ben Shapiro-esque review, I guess. Things I like and things I hate. Up Rocks, Mike Ryan. We already read that one. Screen International, Tim Grierson, another C minus grade. Brie Larson gives Carol the right mixture of sweetness, humor, and swagger, underlining the film's message of self-empowerment with a light touch. The Playlist, Russ Fisher gives us our first D plus grade at 67%. More so than any other movie in the back half of Marvel's first decade, it's tough to shake the feeling that Captain Marvel is an extended prologue to a story that is still off on the horizon. This character has the potential to be Marvel's answer to Superman, with all the questions about powers and ethics that implies. But her story is rushed here and sometimes forced. Yeah, that's not a good review. That's not a good review. 63, another our first D minus. Well, maybe 63 maybe counts as a D. 63 to 66, regular D, right? They've made, no, that's a D minus. They've made a cute comic book movie, amusing, but forgettable. Probably not as culture shifting as Wonder Woman and Black Panther turned out to be. But take your daughters to Captain Marvel. Take your daughters to Captain Marvel. My daughter doesn't want to see Captain Marvel. She wants to see Shazam. They'll be the final arbiters here. My daughter doesn't want to see Captain Marvel. She wants to see Shazam, and she loved Alita. Because Disney Princess fans, no! Disney Princess fans are the ones who will really be liberated by this rock'em sock'em role model. So Disney Princess fans have to be liberated from loving Disney princesses? What is the liberation from here? I don't quite understand. Another D minus score from the Associated Press. Lindsay Barr says, I spent over 2 hours. Oh, we read that one already, but I'm going to read it again because I just love this review. I spent over 2 hours with Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. I still have no idea what her personality is. Sure, there's a lot more going on in Captain Marvel, but it's a pretty egregious failing, considering that the creative bigwigs at Marvel had 10 to 20 films to work it out. Absolutely. And I stick by, they did this film because of Wonder Woman and because Marvel doesn't have a Wonder Woman. And I hate to digress from the reviews here, but for a moment, I did an entire video yesterday about the history of Captain Marvel. And what stuck out to me is, even though I liked Marvel, I like Captain Marvel sort of as an also ran character in the Marvel Universe. The origin of Captain Marvel was Marvel trying to steal a name. Because you all know that Captain Marvel is the original name of who we now call Shazam, right? And Marvel stole the name because uh, Fawcett stopped publishing Captain Marvel um, due to a lawsuit with DC. And because they stopped using the name, it fell into the public domain. They lost the trademark. And Marvel comes in and says, hey, they lost the trademark. Let's take the name. So they took the name. And then one of the creators of Captain Marvel doesn't even want to be associated with the character. You should go back and watch that whole video I did yesterday explaining the whole Captain Marvel history. But yeah, it is a character that has been rebooted 10 times now, always to mediocre success and ultimate failure, and then reboot. 10 times it has been rebooted, and it has never, ever been a Wonder Woman or a Superman level character. It is just a stolen name because Marvel is the name of their company. They wanted a character called Captain Marvel. And this is the character they have upjumped to be their Wonder Woman because Marvel has never bothered making a Wonder Woman level character that stands on her own. There is no Wonder Woman at Marvel. And so back to the reviews. Vox, Alex Abad Santos, gives another D minus, but our first quote unquote mixed score of 60. I was hoping for something higher, further, faster, and more. So obviously did not deliver for Alex Abad Santos. Matt Donato, another 60, says at We Got This Covered, Captain Marvel is a recorded mixtape of familiar MCU beats that sets Carol Danvers up for success, but as a period standalone struggles to be anything we haven't yet seen from superhero cinema. David Sims at The Atlantic gives it another resounding D at 60%. The 21st entry in Marvel's galactic film empire, and the first focused on a female superhero played by Brie Cheese Larson, is perfectly fun at times. Is a perfectly fun time at the movies that definitely lays out the stakes of its new character for many future appearances. But more often than not, it feels a little routine. And this guy gives it a D. Screen Crush, Matt Singer. I think we already read that one. The Guardian, Peter Bradshaw. I wanted another D at 60. I wanted a clearer, more central story for Captain Marvel's emergence onto the stage, and in subsequent films, if she isn't simply to get lost in the ensemble mix, there should more of Larson's own wit and style. Yeah. And indeed plausible mastery of martial arts. In any case, Captain Marvel is an entertaining new part of the saga. Well, Captain Marvel shouldn't need to know martial arts, right? If she's that powerful. But anyways, timeout. Joshua Rothkopf, another resounding D. Brie Larson isn't given enough to do in a Marvel movie that marinates in 90s nostalgia but doesn't quite rise to the occasion of its own significance. It sounds like Joshua doesn't think that Captain Marvel broke that glass ceiling, or even rose to the glass ceiling that Wonder Woman broke for her. A resounding F, not even a 59, just a straight flat 50 from the Washington Post's Anne Hordnay says, as shaky and unfocused as Captain Marvel often seems, it manages to reach its destination with confidence. In the end, Larson sticks the landing, albeit with something more muted than absolute triumph. The final takeaway is clear. Mission accomplished. More movies ahead. The AV Club gives it another resounding F. Ignati? Vishnevetsky, Ignati Vishnevetsky. It's comparatively short and fast paced by modern standards. Unfortunately, it also has a lackluster plot, bog standards, bog standard chase scenes, and pewing spaceships. A notable shortage of interesting characterizations and a fight scene set to no doubt's just a girl. I'm just a girl. That is nowhere as awesome or as silly as it should be. I'm just a girl in the world. That's all that you'll let me be. Another F from Slant Magazine's Chris Barsanti. The film doesn't pay nearly enough attention to Danvers' crucial emotional metamorphosis from dual identity self-doubter to fearless warrior battling to keep Earth safe. Did I read this one? The Hollywood Reporter, Todd McCarthy. The picture is not dull exactly. No. Hi, I'm on the air. Can't talk right now. Call later. Bye. Oh my gosh, that ringer looks like cranked all the way up. The picture is not dull exactly, just mundane, marked by unimaginative plotting, cut-rate villains, a bland visual style, and a lack of elan in every department. That is a very unqualified F right there. IndieWire goes below the F grade to a 42%. As generic and retrograde as Black Panther was specific. Oh, we already read that one. Time Magazine drops below that to a 40. By the time I got to the end of Captain Marvel, I heard the voice of my own inner superhero, Peggy Lee, whispering in my ear, "Is that all there is? The most heinous supervillain of all is boredom." That's great. And our painful dipped into the 30s review, 38, New York Post. We already read. So, wow, yeah, even those who were trying to praise it and giving it false high scores here, were being deceitful and double-tongued, double-faced, two-faced in their reviews. So that is very interesting. Man, I'm going to take the bullet and go watch this for you guys. But all right, let's see what you guys are saying before I move on to how Alita was treated by these same critics. Which, again, I'm shocked that they did not. They must have really hated this movie not to give it overwhelming praise. I'm just a Cree. Scarlet Witch would make more sense. As a standalone female character. Yeah, who would make a really good standalone female character? I mean, they are all just sort of, they're all either derivatives or they are team based, right? You're either part of a team and therefore your dynamics are based on your team dynamics, or you're a derivative of another character, or both. Or you're just not worth mentioning. I'm sure Squirrel Girl is a standalone character, but who the heck cares? Right? Let's see. Jocasta, maybe, but I think maybe Jocasta was. I know she was an Avenger. I don't know if her origin was. I think her origin was Avenger, but I don't remember any. I don't know. Racks my brains. Stolen name is better than a stolen character, in my humble opinion. Vielnid says that. Naming a character after your company is stupid anyway. Who wants a Captain DC character? Well, it was Detective Comics, and Batman was the world's greatest detective, right? That was the whole shtick with Batman. DC stole that character. Essentially, yeah. They ran Fawcett out of business and then they picked it up. That was pretty brutal, but great character. Uh, looks like Rotten Tomatoes are pruning reviews to make the average higher. Oh, how incredibly surprising. Uh, wait, Captain Marvel can consider having culture shift? Does alien culture counts? The moment these SJWs is going to walk out of the industry, that's when I will spend my money for Marvel and Disney. All right. Yeah, and you know what's I've been thinking is that it's entirely possible that Captain Marvel, this cucking of the Marvel universe, which they've been doing in the comics for years now, may actually grow Comicsgate as a movement when more people see what's happening to Marvel on the big screen. The sort of things that we comic fans have been complaining about in comics, it may drive a much larger audience into the Comicsgate club. So this could be a very big benefit for us, and I wouldn't be shocked if that's what happens. The whole thing is garnering so much. I'm doing this Captain Marvel review because my last review video is the fastest growing video I've ever put up. The last Captain Marvel review video. And it didn't even have this many reviews on it. So I think people are turning to Comicsgate for the truth of what is happening to Marvel. And, it's unfortunate that poison has finally seeped into the Hollywood, the Marvel cinematic universe. So, whew. All right, let's go and let's see how these critics treated what was, by all fan measures, they gave this a Metascore of 54. They gave this an F. They gave Battle Angel Alita an F. But look at the user score, a B plus, 8.7. 778 positive reviews, 60 mixed reviews, only 37 negative reviews. But the critic reviews, the critics, let's see what their critics said, because these again I fall back on this truth. Leftists hate the concept of personal responsibility, and the theme of Alita is personal responsibility. Choose what you want to be, right? It doesn't matter how you were designed, what you were made for. It doesn't matter what your natural inclinations might be. You have to choose to be the better person, right? That is the theme of Alita. It's the theme of Iron Giant. And they killed Iron Giant too. Do you remember? Do you know how great Iron Giant is as an animation, right? It's one of the greatest animated films of all time, right? But they hated that message. And that is why I believe they just they dunked on it. They ignored it. They allowed Iron Giant to go in and out of theaters in a matter of weeks, and it only became a cult classic because of it, even though it was just fantastic on every level. One of my favorite movies. And the same thing can be said for Battle Angel Alita. They hate personal responsibility, and this movie goes completely against that paradigm. The playlist, 83% is a B minus, is the critics' highest score. The B minus. Alita lays out her empathetic groundwork early and rarely diverges from it. How wonderful to have a hero that always follows through with what she fights for. How wonderful to have a blockbuster that aspires for so much and mostly delivers on those ambitions. That's nice. That's nice. But he only gives it an 83. I would give Alita a 90, maybe a 93. I mean, it's not a perfect film, but yeah, I'd give it a 90. I'd give it a solid 10 points higher than this guy did, and he's the highest rank. IndieWire, another 83, says Alita: Battle Angel is Rodriguez's best film since he brought Frank Miller's graphic novel to the screen. A sci-fi epic that does something rare in an age of endless adaptations and reboots. Lives up to its potential while leaving you wanting more. How did you only give it an 83? That's the contrast here, right? Those are honest, enjoyed this film kind of reviews, and they give him a B. Nah, not even a B plus, just a B. These guys, they give it an A, and they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. Still talking, they talk trash. Well, they turn not to sound like they're talking trash, but they're obviously not entirely pleased with this film, and they still give it an A. That is the difference here. The Atlantic gives it a B. Dave Sims, true to its origins, Alita is a living cartoon of a film, which only makes its ridiculousness easier to absorb. Well, of course it's ridiculous. It's a manga. It's fantastic. That's the word, not ridiculous. It's fantastic. In the sense of fantasy. Another B from Kenneth Tran at the Los Angeles Times says, if you're in the mood for a movie like Alita, Alita is the movie you're in the mood for. I don't even know what that means, but he gave it an 80. Cineview Martin Contario for another 80 says, not without flaws, but nothing to get too worked up about. Alita Battle Angel is cynicism-free, first-class popcorn entertainment spearheaded by a knockout performance from Salazar. A star is born. Again, all of these, well, except for this weird one here, all of these are better reviews than the top reviews here, but these are higher rated. Can you see the agenda here? You can tell the agenda is obvious and palpable. IGN, William Bibiani, gives it another 80, a B minus. Alita, Battle Angel, is Robert Rodriguez's best film in many years. It's an ambitious, impressive, visually spectacular production with great performances that make its strange world seem real. And he only gives it an 80. It's, oh, wow. This is so illustrative of the skewed review for Captain Marvel, right? Associated Press, Mark Kennedy says, for a C, a straight C 75 score, says the film crams in so many plot lines that it risks being overstuffed, but somehow stays true to its mesmerizing vision and emerges as a sci-fi success, if not a triumph. The guy calls it a triumph and gives it a 75. What is going on here? San Francisco Chronicle, Mick LaSalle, another 75. Alita is an action movie, and some of it is who cares. But the bigger thing about this film is that it makes us think about humanness, what it means, what it is, and what it might be in the future. I don't know what the who cares part is. The action was great in this movie. But still, just reading that, you'd think this person would have at least given it an 80, but gives it a 75 instead. Sam Adams at Slate gives it a 70, which is a C minus. It's goofy as hell and borderline inexcusable at times, but it's also kind of glorious. Okay, this mixed review qualifies a 70, so this seems like an honest score. These just don't seem like honest scores. But maybe I'm being biased because I love the movie. I loved it. Film Threat gives it another C minus. Alan Ing says, if you approach Alita Battle Angel like a standard action film where you're there just for the stunts, you will have a good time. The world created by James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez is visually stunning. Rosa Salazar is fantastic as Alita. She shines in her mocap performance. She does. It wasn't perfect. I mean, CG isn't perfect yet, but whatever. This person seems to not like action films, though. New York Times Magazine, Emily Yoshida, a fellow Jap, for a score of 70, says the only reason any of this works at all is Salazar, and I hate to say it, those G-damn big eyes. They're the windows to the soul, after all, and this ungainly, lurching cyborg of a would-be blockbuster has more of that than meets the eye. Soul, she means. It's got more soul than meets the eye. 67, Consequences of Sound. Dominic Suzanne Meyer says, like its unstoppable heroine, Alita Battle Angel is something strange and unique and special, built from the finest repurposed parts. This, and she only gives it a 67%, or he only gives it a 67. That's insanity. Jesse Hasinger from the AV Club says, can you close the door, please? Getting cold. The cold comes in. Like so many expensive fantasies, Alita Battle Angel feels burdened by dreams of a franchise that may never materialize. But meaning what? Meaning that it left it open to a sequel? It is a franchise. Anyways. But if a series does come to pass, Rodriguez should stick around. However briefly, big budget filmmaking has synced up with his playground aesthetic. However briefly. No, yeah. Rodriguez, I think he did a great job. So, anyways. Interwebs Tuber Nutter says Rotten Tomatoes is now showing audience scores again, but the pulling of them was not about Captain Marvel. Trey Slayer of Thought says manga always has surreal plots, over-the-top action, unbelievable events. That's kind of the point. I know, right? Exactly. The Verge, Samantha Nelson for 65, which is a D. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's a D. A D. It's a shame that the film doesn't stand on its own with a story as creative and engaging as its setting. How does it not stand on its own? What are you talking about? It's out his mind. This one's out his mind. Monica Castillo at rogerebert.com for a 63 says the visual bonanza cooked up by Rodriguez, cinematographer Bill Pope, and editors Stephen E. Rivkin and Ian Silverstein is enough to power through any narrative bumps and quickly paced action and bleak yet colorful imagery. Bleak yet colorful. Yeah, I guess that's a fair. Philadelphia Daily News Gary Thompson for 63 again says, it's a story with too many influences, no cohesion, no apparent narrative purpose. Did this guy watch the same movie? Tom Russo, 63, says, for all of Alita's she-Pinocchio charm and her Cameronian estrogen-charged badassitude, she can't quite carry the audience all the way across that pesky, uncanny valley. I would obviously disagree with that. Boy. For all its whiz-bang goodness, USA Today's Brian Truitt says, Alita is almost completely undone by its flawed script. What? Yeah, these guys are just lying at this point. Rodriguez nails the pacing, says Reels Views James Berardinelli. It's slow enough to allow for character development, at least where Alita is concerned, but ramps up during the well-choreographed battle and chase sequences. Everything moves along fine, at least until the final few minutes when it becomes apparent that we're about to be victimized by a story that requires multiple installments to play out. No, it just means it's left open. There's a big bad. Victimized by a story that requires multiple installments to play out. No. And for that, he drops it all the way down to a 63. I don't think that's... Do any of you think this is honest reporting? Press 1 if you think they're all lying. Press 2 if you think this is honest reporting. John Malin doesn't like Alita. John Malin has terrible taste in everything. The Globe and Mail Toronto's John Semley gives it another 63 and says, viewed in the despairing environment of the big-budget sci-fi blockbuster, Alita is likely to find a cult of core fans drawn in by the persuasive digital animation and pick and choose smorgasbord world building. In the long view, though, it's likely to enjoy much the same fate as 2000's cinetechnological movie milestone Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within. And that, perhaps, is the ultimate case of damning with faint, highly relative praise. What? Oh, I got another update here. I gotta check. John Malin is like Zach. John Malin is like Zach. Yes. Awesome. My friend is looking good in the surgery. All right, let's go down. You know what? So many of them. Let's scroll down to the worst of the worst. 25. New York Post gives it a 25. You cannot possibly hate Alita enough to give it a 25. By the Johnny Oleksinski. By the end of this derivative, heartless mess, you'll conclude that a garbage dump is exactly where writer-producer James Cameron's new project belongs. Okay, dude. Okay. And a 30, New York Times, Manola Dargis says, a pileup of cliches in service to technological whiz-bangery. Alita is one more story of the not-quite-human brought to life with hubris and bleeding-edge science. Wow. Who pissed in your Cheerios, Manola? And a 37 from Washington Post's How Chu Gesundheit. It's easy to see why Cameron and Rodriguez might have been drawn to the story. At its core, however muddled, there are classic sci-fi themes of class and what it means to be human. It's so baffling that the film goes to such lengths to show Alita's sheer brutality. Oy vey. Oy vey. And 38, Chicago Sun-Times Richard Roper says, all the cutting-edge pyrotechnics in the universe can't overcome the uneven and ultimately unsatisfying screenplay. I thought the screenplay was great. Let's do a couple more of these just crybabies. The Telegraph's Tim Roby. As you'd expect from Rodriguez, it has a decent number of pow-pow fight scenes, and sure loves to watch machinery being ripped to shreds, but it's all uncomfortably close to the gruesome flesh fare from Spielberg's AI, artificial intelligence, revamped as an ain't it cool demolition derby with a charm and conscience bypass. Okay. 40, another failure by Total Film Matt Maytum. Impressive VFX and bursts of action that can't mask the fact that this is a tonally confused start for a sci-fi franchise hopeful, made up of scrap parts you've seen put to better use elsewhere. Total Film. More on Timeout. Phil DeSemlian. Another 40. 40. What in these people's minds can make them think that Alita was a 40? This visually epic but monotonous collaboration between James Cameron and Roger Rodriguez is less than the sum of its slick parts. New Yorker, Richard Brody. The character of Hugo was written and directed with an shucksiness that wouldn't have been out of place in a Mickey Rooney musical. In other words, it had an innocent romance in it. Aw, shucks. A story with an innocent romance? And his romance with Alita has a simple and absolute purity that's all sentimentality drubbing as it is devoid of substance. I guess he wanted them to get busy. The Rap, Nicholas Barber says, for a 46,
The film is stuffed with so many plot strands and so many different genres. Sports movie, young adult rebellion movie, bounty hunter movie, that it never gets moving. You tool. It was nothing but movement. And Variety, this is going to be my last read. I'm not going to read all of these ones. Variety, Guy Lodge. This manga based cyberpunk origin story is a pretty zappy effects showcase weighed down by a protracted, soul challenged Franken story that short circuits every time it gets moving.
Okay. Well, I think we can see, but let's do one more thing real quick and see what actual people 389 reviews from actual people. they can only go 1 to 10 apparently instead of 1 to 100. Did Jordan Peterson narrate this?
Jordan Peterson, Peter. Lobsters.
Alung gives it a 10. This is just amazing movie. I am really love every damn second of this. Great story, great action, great score. You definitely need to see this. Waiting for part 2. 95 out of 104 users found that helpful. DJ Ryang says for an 8. Oh, these are all random. They rando the numbers. They didn't put all the top ones at the top. That's weird. Oh, I can change it to users. Oh, that was set to most helpful. User scores. Look at all these 10s. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Let's just pick one out of the blue. Brambalk. Many critics fail to mention that Alita Battle Angel is a great classic science fiction movie that has surprises until the end. Being a story that came from Japanese manga, it doesn't fall into the same cliches most movies fall into. I really enjoyed the movie. It was an incredible experience, just like the anime, and certain scenes were recreated to the very angle. Definitely a must watch from Replica, another 10. A 10 from Rumpelstyle. Oh, that's in a language I don't read. Thoris, a 10. This movie was amazing. Sad The Last Jedi gets critical acclaim with this moronic plotline, and this movie gets a collective meh from critics. And I think that's the finer point, isn't it? The critics are shills. The critics are left-wing liars and crybabies. They didn't like the theme of Alita, and they wanted... So they even though they may have said nice things about it, they only gave it moderate scores. Even the ones who had nothing but nice things to say about it gave it moderate scores. And yet, the ones saying moderate things about Captain Marvel or mixed reviews from Captain Marvel's, they still gave higher scores, 80s and 90s. And yet, Captain Marvel must be so bad. Even with all that massaging of the numbers, they still couldn't get it above a D plus. Actually, that's not even a D plus. A 66 is a straight D. Wait a second. A, B, C, D. Yeah, it's a D. Right? So, what are we going to do? What are we going to do, guys? I'm going to read a couple chats here and then get going. Hugo in the manga was a straight up villain, so he would have been a tough sell.
Kermit, did you catch Kermit in your house?
Hugo was fine.
Kermit the reviewer. Why are there so many reviewers that hate anime? And what's on the Captain Marvel side?
Same timeout. Weirdo said Captain Marvel was not very good, but here's a 70. I heard Brie Larson was allergic to the cat on set, so she had to be on Benadryl a lot for the shots with the cat. Berserker Pride says critics forgot their one job is to let the audience know if they are likely to want to go to a movie. No, Berserker Pride. The critics have decided that they are the arbiters of political correctness. So if a movie fits their ideological bent, that is what they must support and must have the fans go see. Otherwise, you know. I'm just here for Mr. Miller's impersonations of reviewers, says DeGriz. Bubba Clem, I stopped caring what critics wrote decades ago when a popular one recommended a movie that I went to. It was a disgusting mess of abhorrent human behavior. I kept waiting for it to get good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've found in general, and here, let me close this out. That, like, if I go to see reviews on Rotten Tomatoes or something, if the reviews are bad, it tends to make me want to go see the movie. Because it's a better indication of whether or not it's a good film if the reviews are bad from the critics, because the critics are so bad at their job. That's the thing. That is the funny thing. Imagine Ethan and Mike doing a whole stream in SJW voices as Dr. Fantastic. David Peterson says, like, the character development was done pretty well. The characters had struggles. Friggin' Alita was Tin Woman. She literally had a mechanical heart. Yeah. Yeah. I can't. I want to go see Alita again. You know what? Maybe I'll go, or if I don't have the time, I will send my family to go see Alita again this weekend. I'll go dump some more money into Alita's pocket, just to counterbalance. And that's a challenge. The Alita challenge this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot recommend Captain Marvel yet. I have not seen it. But from all the reviews, I would say it's probably not worth your money. But Alita, I would guarantee you, is worth your money. Not guarantee in the sense that I'm going to pay you if you don't like it, but it's a really, really good, fun movie, and it's got a great theme, a great message. It's got a role model for young girls, even though she's 300 years old. Spoiler. But yeah, that's about it. That's my Captain Marvel versus Alita. All the reviews, even though I didn't read some of the Alita reviews, I think you all got the message. Alita is a fan favorite film. Captain Marvel looks to be all about the shill, all about the ideology. It looks to be a tremendous dud, but I'll let you know tonight after I go see it. Until then, actually, I'll probably be back here doing some streaming for some drawing, but whatever. Please do like the channel. Please hit that subscribe button if you have not been here before. I do live streaming videos every day, and I do interact with the chat. So if you like to come in and talk to people, Alec Munoz for $1.99 says, here's some popcorn money for Alita. Mike, thank you, Alex. And thank you all for being here. I will see you on the next video. Aloha.